Hi everybody, happy Canada Day. Hope everybody's doing great. All right, so today, my name is Anna Sabramowitz, your interactive storytelling coach. And today what I wanted to talk about is, what is the cause of bad e-learning? And I'm not gonna get into the kind of tips and strategies you're usually used to. I'm gonna talk about psychological stuff. So if you don't have, and it's going to take me a couple of minutes to actually get into this, so if you don't have 5 minutes, then you should get off this live. And also, if you don't have 5 minutes to listen to this, then maybe there's other issues that you're dealing with, because it takes time to actually explain some of these things. I'm not doing micro learning for people who have no attention spans, right? All right, so what I'm going to do is bring up my chat, and I'd love for you to tell me where you're visiting from, but also if any of these things resonate with you, or if you've struggled with any of these things, or if you have a tool that you've used that has really helped you overcome some of these challenges that I'm going to talk about right now, I'd love for you to mention it in the comments. All right, so first off, I wanted to share this quote from this book, a little bit of an excerpt. Awesome book, Laws of Human Nature by Robert. And one of the things that's super cool is, obviously this book is not like something you're like whimsy reading and then you forget about it. It's almost like a manual, and then every chapter basically tells you how to, improve not only your own relationships with people, but just some strategies that you need to apply. And so what happens is this becomes kind of like a how-to, right? Awesome book. I recommend you check it out. But there's actually another book that I recommend you check out, and I'll mention that later in, because it ties in specifically with my theme for today, which really is about the results that we're getting as an industry and as individuals, and what contributes to that. Oh, and we've got Lori from Fort Worth, Texas. Cool. Thanks for saying hi, Lori. That's awesome. So listen to this. So basically, in this chapter, what Robert Greene talks about is he talks about the fact that, each of us is born with this persistence, with this aggression. And if you don't know if it is there, all you got to do is hang out with a toddler for a couple of days or an hour. And you'll see that when they want something, they will not stop until they get it. When they are intent on something, when they are going for something, there's this inner drive and aggression, which is a good thing, that comes out of them. And if a parent sometimes stifles that in a way that is makes them feel ashamed of having that persistence and aggression, then as adults we grow up into people who have this, what Robert Greene calls the inner saboteur. And I don't think he actually came up with that term. I think he references the person who did. But listen to this. Tell me if it sounds familiar. The saboteur operates like a persecutor from within, right? Continually judging and attacking us. If we are about to attempt something, it reminds us of the potential for failure. It tries to damp down any exuberance, because that could open us up to criticism from others. It makes us uncomfortable with strong sensations of pleasure or the expressions of deep emotion. Interesting, right? It impels us to tamp down our ambitions, to the better to fit into the group and not stand out. It wants us to retreat inward, where we can protect ourselves, even if that leads to depression. And it makes us forge a fake self to present to the world, one that is humble and self-effacing. In the end, the internal saboteur works to lower our energy and constrain what we do, making our world more manageable and predictable, but also quite dead. And listen to this. Much of this sneering at ambition, right? Because that's what it's funny, because there's a lot of passive aggressiveness online. And it's easy because I say, and I have this saying now, and the reason I have this saying is because this internal saboteur is something that I've struggled with, right? That internal judging voice that's always saying you're gonna look stupid, who are you to try, all those things, like messing you up, right? And I realize that, and the saying, this is one of my favorites, it says every time you point a finger at somebody else, there's 3 fingers pointing back at you. And the reason why some people are so judgmental is because that's how they are to themselves, right? And they're just trying to take the pressure off and externalize that negativity that's happening inside of them. That happens to me, right? And it's funny because that inner saboteur, it's weird when these kind of, I'm not saying that epiphanies happen to people, right? I'm not saying, oh, we've got some people here, Ben and Stephanie. So I was visiting my mom, and moms, right? Like you are with them, and instantly that relationship as far as parent-child is like, it's in your face, right? And I know that's not with everybody, but it is with me and my mom. And so what I did is I wanted to take her up to this volcano that's kind of near her house. It's an old volcano, but she didn't want to come with me. And I was a little upset with her because I thought, why wouldn't you come and climb this mountain with me, right? And all this stuff, but that's on her, right? I wanted to climb the volcano. It's my thing. It's not a tall volcano. It's not like Kilimanjaro or anything, guys. But anyways, it's by her house. It's in the Okanagan, right? Old, nothing is erupting. I'm climbing up this mountain, and I'm trying to do a vlog or something, and all of a sudden it hits me that every single time that there's been like a block in my life, it's because I've decided to I guess use that aggression that I could use as persistence against myself. And it has, in essence, I've beaten myself down from going for it. And it's kind of cool because then I read this another awesome book, right? Where it really just talked about the fact that like 70% of us have this quelling of our own ambition and aggressiveness, which we see as this negative thing. And what it does is it makes us always hold back. So especially at the workplace, where you could do like 110, but you hold back. You do just 80. You don't put in the all-nighter because you could. You don't go the extra mile because it's like, no, we can't be the best. We can't be the best. And we rationalize why we can't be the best. And it actually holds us back. And we actually find the word ambition dirty. If I said, are you ambitious? A lot of us get this like, I don't know if you can resonate with this, but sometimes when you hear the word ambitious, and if you're in the wrong mindset, you'll get this feeling like, ugh. It's the same thing. And it's funny because I listened to Jim Rohn for years, and I'll re-listen to him because he has great audio. He's a great orator. He inspires me so much. But Jim Rohn always talked about how people are, when you say somebody's wealthy or you want to be wealthy, right? That puts this kind of like, feeling like, they're wealthy, and it's like a dirty word, right? So he's like, how about independent or independently wealthy? Let's not use the word rich. And that's exactly what's happening here. So let me read you a little bit about ambition. And I know I'm pulling this kind of out of context, so it's kind of hard. You're going to have to kind of take my word for it right now. But as I'm learning this, and I wanted to share it with you, and the reason I'm sharing it with you is not because I think, I'm trying to like pontificate or anything here, but not only have I experienced these lessons and I've had to reframe a lot of the things that I do and take ownership of the things that I do and the biases and the lenses that I have on how I look at my own achievements and behavior, but also I see some of this come through when I work with my students, and I just want to get it out there so that you can start maybe perceiving this and maybe finding resources for yourself, because we are under living our potential. And I'm not talking, I don't need you to be Mother Teresa. I don't need you to be, Jordan Peterson. But if in our domain, we can start being honest about why 90%, I gotta say, like 95% of our learning sucks and is boring and is terrible, and we're not innovating I've been looking at e-learning projects consistently now for the past decade. And I have to tell you, the amount of innovation that's happened is almost zero. I could look at a portfolio today, and I could look at a portfolio 10 years ago, and they would almost probably look the same. On the average, the same. The same. Now we just have tools that just, pop out content the same. Really, it's terrible, right? So how can we fix that? And it's going to come down to the individual. It's going to come down to an individual person saying, I want to do better, and I don't care what everybody else thinks right now, and I know it's going to be hard, right? So let me read you this. This is really cool. So much of the sneering at ambition and ambitious people in our culture actually stems from a great deal of envy at the accomplishment of others. Tamping down your youthful ambition is a sign that you don't like or respect yourself. That's a hard pill to swallow, right? And I meet people every day who tell me they used to want to do something and now they've given up on it. Every day. Every single effing day. You no longer believe you deserve, to have the power and recognition you once dreamed about. That doesn't make you more adult. It just makes you more likely to fail. By lowering your ambitions, you limit your possibilities and diminish your energy. And in any event, in trying to appear unambitious, which a lot of people do, you are just as self-absorbed as anyone else. Being so humble and saintly is your ambition, right? And you want to make a display of it. We are totally virtue signaling all the effing time, and we're doing it on social media. And I'm thinking, let me tell you guys, this is what's crazy. So I'm totally like a nature nerd, right? And I know I'm like rambling here a little bit, but I'm a total nature nerd. And I'll go out into, I hike all the time. Every weekend I got to get out, be in nature. I just find like, even though people think I'm a total extrovert, when you're in nature, you get to kind of reconnect with yourself. It's like my same place, right? So I don't go on group hikes or anything. I like go with the dog because he doesn't talk. So anyways, I was walking behind this couple one time, and there was a piece of garbage laying in the bushes, right? And the man he saw it in the bushes, and he goes, I just hate that. I just hate it when people leave garbage. And he just kept on walking. And I was like, no, you don't. No, you don't, because you didn't pick it up. Guess what I did? I picked it up. Am I trying to tell you that because I think I'm special? No, it's just that there's people who will talk about what they hate, what they don't like, what they believe in, but that's just words. And the most important thing is your actions. So you could tell yourself you're ambitious, you're doing this, but then you got to see what have you done? What are you doing? And if you're every single time you're trying to get to the pinnacle and you beat yourself up, you got to start working on the inner game, because the outer game is never going to be optimal, right? That's why, it's funny because I've been there, because I've actually, like, if you go to my YouTube channel, I've actually put up videos where I like talk about the different kinds of subject matter experts, right? And it's funny because we've now decided that if your e-learning project isn't working, it might be because your subject matter expert falls into these 7 categories of like the nitpicker, the missing in action person. Like we categorize people, full-on human beings, into a box of how they are as a SME, without actually realizing there's a relationship dynamic there that we're a part of, right? So if you come into any situation where you have to work with collaborators and the first thing you think about in the SME is which category they fall in with, guess what that's going to do? Completely make that relationship exactly as you expected. Absolutely. Every time. It's magical how that happens, right? So we'll blame things. Well, I've had people send me huge emails about they're not able to implement anything innovative because their boss sucks, their company status quo, they're too serious, nobody takes them seriously. It's always going to be there. 10 years ago it was there. In 10 years it'll be there. Right now it is there, right? What's the only thing you have power over is you, right? It's just you. And it's kind of cool. People talk about like, oh, poverty, and they want to fix it. My neighbor, 77 years old, awesome, sweet man, right? What does he do? Every couple of days, what happens is he gets picked up by the food truck, and he organizes hampers for people, and he goes out there and he delivers those hampers to people who are in need of food. Now that guy, I bet you he has no social media accounts. I bet you he doesn't tweet about poverty or lack of food for people. He just effing does something, right? And that's what I want you to think about is we can complain, we can talk about all these things that are against us, we don't have the tech, we don't have the resources, but what if we actually just hunkered down and did some work? Because the resistance, it's that aggression, that pressure still inside, right? But then it's easy to just use something else to kind of deflect that energy, which is what this is, right? This is a distraction for you from getting to your work. I gotta say it. That's what I am. I'm a distraction for you right now. What I want you to do is decide what you want, have a plan, right? Most people I talk to, zero plans. They don't even know what they're gonna be doing next month. Or the only thing they got planned is their vacations. But as far as planning for themselves, where they wanna see themselves in a year, they're like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, if you don't know, you're never going to get there. You're just going to flip-flop around. Whatever next thing comes up on, whatever the next trend comes up, whatever the next e-learning company comes up with some sort of, tool, you're going to be on it because you have no plan. So get a plan, right? Figure out where you want to be in a year. What do you want to be accomplishing? What do you want to be seen as? A lot of people say, I want to be the trusted advisor. And I'm like, okay, what does it take to be a trusted advisor? Proof of concept, maybe relationship building, somebody who collaborates well. Figure that out, work backwards from it. You got to start someplace, right? So those are the things that are super important. Now, there's a book that is Small Awesome. I recommend you get it on Audible so you can listen to it. And also I recommend that you read it. I got this book. It was cool. I used to live in Vancouver in BC. And they have this amazing library. The library is actually, when you come up to it, I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but the library is actually modeled around like a coliseum. So it's like this round thing. It looks like a coliseum from the far. And actually, if you watch, I think there's certain like sci-fi shows where the headquarters of like the sci-fi organization is actually in the library. And I was like, that's a library. That's not a sci-fi headquarters, but that's how cool this building is. Anyways, that's why I remember, sometimes some things touch you so deeply that you just remember that exact moment where you learned it. I don't know if you've ever had that happen to you. So I went to the library and I got this little book, Do the Work by Steven Pressfield. You guys check it out. And I read it, I devoured it on the SkyTrain home, which was a 45-minute ride. I just devoured it, and it was one of those like, boom, like a slap in the face, kick in the butt. I was upset, but I realized it was me. And then what I did is I got the Audible version, and I believe Steven Pressfield actually, I don't know if he reads that one, but whoever reads it, it sounds like Steven Pressfield, and it's an awesome book to continually listen to kind of remind yourself. It's because it doesn't take one time. It takes like many, 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 many times to actually internalize these lessons and apply them, because as you learn new things, you become a different person, you see things differently, and as they say, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And I believe that wholeheartedly. I believe this is true. So it's kind of like, you have all these books on your bookshelf, and then you pick something up like later, a year later, and you're like, oh my God, I can't believe I had this gold in my house, but you're ready for it, right? So that's what happens. So if you're doing work right now that doesn't make you happy, you have to figure out why. And you have to figure out what you're going to do to get yourself to a place that makes you put out work that you're proud of. It's huge, right? It's very huge. Now, if you're looking to commiserate with people, then yes, Facebook, LinkedIn, social media, this is the place to commiserate. But to me, it's kind of like you staying right here, right? Guess what? Guess what your buddies will do when you say, oh, life sucks. They're going to be like, oh, it's okay. Don't worry, you'll get out of the slump. And they'll also say things that'll help you confirm that belief. And what happens is you end up staying right here because everybody's telling you nothing you can do. Nothing you can do. It's okay. Don't worry about it. Let's have a barbecue. It's okay. You'll feel better. Let's have a Zoom. I don't care about that. I don't want any of that. That's where everybody else is at, and it's stagnant, and it doesn't help me achieve my passion. Now, getting over here, which I call hot and enabled, and it's funny because I always talk about this in the terms of our learners, right? That they're over here. We're trying to convince them that there's a path for them they could take, and it's uncomfortable, right? But it's worth it. We got to sell ourselves on this journey, because if you join my coaching program, and you are like, oh, I wonder if Anna's gonna let me know that, everything's still okay, and all I have to do is just kind of wallow here because the world is against me, I'm not gonna be able to help you. right? Now, if you're looking for somebody to get you uncomfortable, but then when you're here, get that kind of support, because life, it's going to be tough, right? If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. Then I'm here for you. Now, one of those people I just recently interviewed is one of my students, is Talvi. Now, for her organization, they're pretty open, so that was cool. But she was just one person, right? She had all these other projects. She had all this other stuff going on, all these other priorities, but she kept persisting. And when she reached out and persisted, I was there to help her. Now, I'm not there to help her wallow in that, oh, I'm so busy. I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, you're too busy. Don't worry about it. Maybe this project needs to be held off for another 2 years. Maybe they're not prioritizing it enough. That was up to her to push for that, right? And that was what was really cool. So I suggest you check that out, because I think we do this all the time. The Beatles, overnight success, and then you realize that the reason the Beatles were such a success is because they practiced for like years and years in shitty bars over and over and over and over and over and over until they actually hit their groove, right? And so when you listen to Talvi's story, it wasn't like, oh, I got this plugin and I went bloop and I created something amazing. It was not like that. It was work, iteration, learning, unlearning, all this kind of stuff. It was a great journey. And it wasn't sexy. It's not sexy to do this, right? It's not sexy to craft amazing stuff. So I want you to think about the fact that you're here right now, maybe not on everything, but if you're here and everything's honky-dory, but you're not happy, maybe you got to start jarring yourself a little bit, putting yourself in an uncomfortable situation, pushing a little bit harder. And I think that book will actually really help you. All right, you guys, I just wanted to say thanks for hanging out with me. I know you could be doing a bazillion other things and talking to 100 other people, watching all kinds of other fun videos that take your mind off of the fact that you're putting out maybe things that you're not super proud of. Now, if you want to get good at this, and it's kind of cool because I was just recently watching this video online. I really love, I told you I love nature, but I also watched this video about this guy who was doing aquariums. And aquascaping is like, I just discovered it this year. I didn't know people created magical gardens in aquariums. But guess what? There's a guy who made that his life. That was his passion. And I think his name was Takashi Amano, right? He's a just Japanese dude who went all in and became the master of that. And he was known as that. He was he set the gold standard for, design of aquarium systems. And it was amazing stuff. YouTube it if you want. It's so cool, right? And I thought about the fact that there must have been a bazillion other things, but he said no to all those other things so that he could focus more and become a master at, and the person known as the person who has the best standard. And now every time somebody puts together a beautiful aquascape, they always look to him to see if he's dead now, but they always look to him to set that standard. Is it as good as that? And imagine being that person in your industry, in your organization. Imagine people coming to you and saying, I want to do something awesome, and you have a track record of doing that. Can you help me? So if that's something you want to get good at, as far as interactive storytelling, scenarios, you got to pick a place. I'm not saying pick my place. I'm not saying pick my coaching, but pick something and just go all in and dig deep and become the best. You owe it to yourself. You owe it to the people you're designing things for, right? Let's stop with the half-assed effort, because it's pissing me off. Like I said, 10 years ago, I looked at portfolios. Now people are sending me the portfolios and it's just the same. It's exactly the same terrible stuff. Nothing's changed. Enough is enough. So I don't want to see any more posts about complaining about people and posts. I don't care about that stuff. I'm shutting that stuff off. I just want to do some good work, and that's the best way to complain, right? You build something awesome, you build something great, and then you keep doing it, and you keep showing people what is possible. And that's how you set a good standard. All right, so if you want to talk to me, you want to figure out how to get good at this, of course I have a coaching program. Of course I want you to join. Of course I'm going to be tough on you, but that's just how you get good, all right? So I'll put the link underneath the video. If you want to get more knowledgeable about how to actually craft interactive stories and where they fit in the world of learning, because they do, but it's kind of a different space, go to elearningsecrets.com. And what happens there is I basically walk you through my journey, but also how I discovered that strategy. and then how it allowed me to really hone in on the parts of me that I find I really shine at, which is to talking to experts, talking to practitioners, talking to subject matter experts, and getting the stories out of them so I can share that and make it palatable to people who are just getting into that field. And that to me is like, oh, I can't believe I get to do that. That's what I get to do. So if that sounds interesting, that sounds like something that piques your interest, then go for it, show up. All right, so you guys, thanks so much for being here. Have a wonderful Canada Day if you're in Canada, and if not, hey, still have a great day. All right, take care, everybody. Bye.